Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Pulsar sleeves that just released today and just my thoughts and opinions on how they are compared to other more popular sleeve options, excluding the SkyPAD sleeve. I do not own one of those, but I can give a good insight to other kinds of sleeves as well. So let's get started. So first I want to talk about the different sleeve options that they have. They have 4 or 5 different kinds for each sizing. They have the arm one that covers the entire forearm. They have the entire sleeve, which is a finger glove. It covers the pinky and thumb hole and leaves enough out for your palm to at least make contact with the mouse. They have the one with just the thumb hole, which I have here. They have the finger glove. I lost mine, but I do have one. It is just one that covers just this part of your hand, so it's more just meant for people who play wrist aim or need something to cover just their wrist. And then they have one that covers just the forearm part of you, which is another really convenient size for people who just need something that mainly play arm but don't need something covering their wrist, or they want that there. They want their wrist for like a lock-in feeling. All right, so first I want to talk about how this compares to other sleeves that I own. We have here, this is a sleeve I got from G-Wolves. It's some random OEM sleeve. Here we have a basketball sleeve I've had for years at this point. It's been at least 2 years since I've had this sleeve, so it's really beat up and dingy. But when I got it, it was a fun experience. And then here we have the Focus sleeve. This, I think, just called the Focus Pro sleeve. It's a really good sleeve. This is probably one of the best that I own. And compared to all of these cheaper options, if you're looking for a really high-end sleeve, the one from G-Wolves is a good starting point. It's only like $6, and it's really, you can't go wrong. It's not awful. Code Stubby for $10 off G-Wolves site. But it's not even close to how good the ES sleeve is, which stands for Esports Edition, or how good the Focus sleeve is. And I've heard from other reviewers that the lizard skin is the sleeve of choice of most people. It comes in lots of colors and like a baseball sleeve, so it's like really breathable and stuff. And I don't own one of those, so I can't really speak on how good it is. But the ES sleeve I find is really comfortable, except for I have a couple of cons I'll note in a second, but it's relatively comfortable with most of the sizing. The Focus sleeve, on the other hand, is probably the most comfortable sleeve I own ever. It uses more nylon than spandex, so it makes it feel a lot more premium to the touch than the ES sleeve. The ES sleeve, again, has so many sizing options. It's kind of like you can't go wrong with this one. So now I want to talk about the sleeve and any cons that I have with it. For one, I do not like where they place the logo here. It looks really nice, but the issue is that on a lot of mouse pads, if this starts to rotate over and slip under, especially with the different sizings, like with this one, you're kind of forced to keep it at the right position. But I've noticed it slipping under a bit, like let's say it gets around like here, and it starts gripping the mouse pad because it's made out of like a rubberish material. So that's one thing if you're looking to get this specific sleeve, this is the only one I have issues with, because the rest of them you can kind of rotate freely how you want them to be placed. Like this one here, you can place literally anywhere on your arm. The logo can go wherever. But my biggest gripe with this specific sleeve is this pinky hole here. It's hard to show on camera, but there's a lot of stitching here. So if it's pulled up too far, it starts pinching the inside of like where your pinky is, and it becomes very uncomfortable. But if it's pulled out too far, then you get a lot of loose sleeve up here, which isn't really good. So they haven't found that balance of comfort with, proper usage. So I feel like that's the only gripe that I have, is this thing here is just so uncomfortable. I've stopped wearing this one entirely and started maining the one with just the thumb hole, which is just a more comfortable experience with how long I've been using for like the last 2 weeks now. So next I want to show how these are on different surface textures. I've been using them on multiple cloth pads for a while now, and I've also used it on glass pad as well. I have a Super Glide coming, so I can post an update onto Twitter if you guys would like to see how that is on the Super Glide. But on glass, it feels really nice. It's like a standard sleeve, you feel me? Like if I had a SkyPAD sleeve, I would compare it to that. I feel like from what I've seen in images, is really similar in style. But on glass, it's really nice. You have a lot more friction, but it gives you a lot less of that stickiness that you get with glass pads, where when it gets really hot or humid, skin might stick to it, and that's never a good thing. But now I just want to talk about some different surface textures and just how it fares on those as well. So, all right, so here I have a lot of different types of surface textures and surface feels. So we're just going to go break this down one by one to show you guys how it is on specific surfaces. So here we have the Lamzu Energon, which is a smooth speed pad. It is probably one of the more quicker pads I have when it's not being affected by humidity. But I figured out that I have a dud copy, and it's super affected by humidity. Like, today it's not that humid outside, so it has a lot of speed to it, but some days it'll just get sluggish. Like, it's normally not as quick for me. But there is, like, no friction. It feels a lot smoother compared to other options, and even when I'm pressing down on the pad, it feels like it's giving a really nice glide experience with the mouse combined. Next, we're going to go to the Saturn Pro here, which is a smooth control pad. This is a much more different experience when it comes to how it feels on the skin. It feels a lot... It's smoother, but since the Saturn is much slower of a mouse pad, you're getting a lot more of that control with the Saturn, but it's a lot frictionless, if that makes any sense. There's a lot less friction with this compared to the Energon, and that's just how the mouse pad is. Even with the sleeve, I see no issues with this. Next, we're going on to the Heian. I do have a hole in my Heian, so don't mind that. But if we didn't have a hole in the Heian, there is a lot of friction here on the left and right. So I feel like left and right, you might get locked in, but that's just a texture pad thing. Going up and down, I feel like there's also a lot of friction buildup. But side to side, there's a lot of friction buildup where I can see this being an issue for anyone who likes to use the Heian or wants to get something with just the wrist part covering, where you might have issue with micro movements and micro adjustments. So yeah, now let's go to the SV Base Control Plus, where this one has a lot more friction to it. So this is similar to other hybrid texture surfaces where there's a nice abrasion to it, but it's not super abrasive. And there's a lot of pull side to side. Like, it's not even close to as freeing as any of the smoother options. And up and down, this feels magnificent. Like, this feels like the smooth options up and down, but side to side, this just feels like a sluggish experience that I wouldn't want to recommend to anybody. Next, we have the Aqua Control Zero, which is a textured control pad where there's so much friction buildup with the sleeve and the pad itself that if you're running one of these textured control pads, this is just, I wouldn't recommend using a sleeve to begin with. But if you're looking for that really locked in feel, that's what I'm getting here. Like, this is almost like pulling how locked in it is from side to side, but up and down, again, this is just a magnificent playing field. If you're playing tracking based games like Overwatch or Apex, you might have an issue going from side to side. But if you're playing tac shooters where you're only moving from side to side and you want that really locked in feel, this 100% could be like a solid option, because yeah, there's a lot of friction buildup with the sleeve on the Zero. And then finally, we're going to do the Trigun Pro, which is a Cordura surface. This has probably the most friction side to side out of all of them and the least friction up and down. So going from side to side, this feels like... It feels like the Zero, except it's almost like it's pulling the sleeve, like literally pulling the sleeve from side to side. The more pressure I put onto the desk, the more locked in it feels, which would not be a good thing for more tracking based, like more games where you're doing a lot of these movements here, because it feels like you're moving in an XY type of grid, if that makes any sense. And like the X axis is just locked and that Y axis has a lot of freedom. So yeah, that should cover everything. These are really good sleeves, and I do have affiliate links for these if you want to go pick these up on Pulsar site or Lethal Gaming Gear site. Really good sleeves. I believe they're $20, same price as SkyPAD sleeves, but you have significantly more options. Are these top recommendations for me when it comes to sleeves? Yes and no. They have a lot of options. When it comes to the quality, I really like the Focus sleeve overall, and I will be getting a lizard skin sleeve here really soon, so I can actually try that out and see how it compares to something like the Focus sleeve, which is just so much better in every aspect compared to the Pulsar sleeve. But if you're looking for something in a very specific sizing, the Pulsar sleeve will probably have you covered. They have like everything covered. So yeah, that should be it. I hope you guys did enjoy. These are really good sleeves, and like I said, I do have affiliate links down below if you want to go check these out. It should be all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.